You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day, and happy birthday to some notable Tauruses, including Linda Evangelista. I believe she's a supermodel. Bono celebrates a solar return today. Sid Vicious, Fred Astaire, Kenan Thompson, and let's see, anyone else popping out? Oh, Wayne Dyer, who has passed on but is a leader in the spiritual space. If you haven't heard of Wayne Dyer and his work, I recommend you check it out. Happy birthday to you if you are a Taurus, and to anybody who has Jupiter in Aries, get ready for your time. It is here. Jupiter enters Aries this afternoon. So that's what we'll be talking about today, what that means for us, what energy that's bringing. It's a really exciting transit. You probably heard some rumblings about it already. So let's talk about what it means. Jupiter does not move into Aries until about 4:40 this afternoon. So if you see the current chart here, you'll notice that Jupiter is still in Pisces. And Jupiter's been in Pisces since, I believe, December. So we've been feeling this energy for the past few months. It might have even been before December. Don't quote me on that. But while Jupiter's been in Pisces, it's been exalted. Jupiter likes to be in Pisces. In fact, Jupiter is the traditional ruler, Jupiter's just exalted in Pisces, but Jupiter likes to be here. So we've been feeling dreamy. Our dreams might have even feel like they've been expanded because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of abundance, of optimism. So you might have just gotten lots of ideas or been able to create grand visions while Jupiter has been in Pisces. Now that Jupiter is moving into Aries, it's moving into a fresh cycle of the zodiac. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's like Jupiter begins a new lap around the solar system or around the sun. And this is really exciting because not only does it mean a fresh start and fresh energy for us, but when we look at other astrology learnings, teachings, in Chinese astrology, the Chinese zodiac is ruled by Jupiter. So in a lot of cultures, Jupiter entering Aries is a really exciting, fresh time. Let's just do a little overview of what this energy is going to bring. So Jupiter moves into Aries this afternoon. It will stay there until October 27th. Now, Jupiter is going to go retrograde this summer. So Jupiter is going to move into Aries about the midpoint of Aries. Then it's going to start its retrograde and move back into Pisces in October. Jupiter will move back into Aries beginning of next year until about May 15th of next year. So really the next year overall, we are feeling the energy of Jupiter in Aries. So it's not like this is just an instant shift and we're going to feel something all at once. This is a long transit. Jupiter is known as the great benefic of our solar system. It is one of the biggest planets. It rotates the most quickly, and there's a lot of energy going on Jupiter. It's a planet of abundance, of expansion, of growth, luck, faith, hope, truth, generosity, morality, optimism, hope, and excess. So as much as Jupiter acts like a magnifying glass or supersizes anything it touches, anything it comes in contact with, sometimes Jupiter can be a little bit over the top. So that's something we want to keep in mind with Jupiter in Aries. We can be a little bit more spontaneous or impulsive. Now, that's not always a bad thing. However, we can be a little overly optimistic or overly aggressive with Jupiter in Aries. So just something to keep note of over the next year or so, really. And the sign of Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, is represented by the ram. Aries is our energy, it's our stamina, it's our ability to take the lead. It's also the warrior sign. So it's got that warrior energy of aggression, of impulse. It's very masculine. It gives us courage, drive, passion. You can literally picture like, the ram ramming into something. It's full steam ahead. It also rules competition, action, independence, and confidence. So it's this very energetic sign. And with Jupiter there, we can, in general, just expect to have more energy over the next few months. So with Jupiter in Aries, some things to think about. Jupiter being the great benefic means that likely positive things come from this transit, right? It brings a positive energy to it. Anytime we talk about Jupiter, there's a silver lining, there's a positive. It's almost the jolly planet. It's like very generous and grand and friendly. So when Jupiter enters the sign of Aries, it's like it's go time. Let's go. We're starting something new and we have the optimism to launch in that direction. We can expect an abundance of momentum. It's like with Jupiter and Pisces, we've been dreaming up the vision. We've been creating kind of what we want to see come to fruition. Now is the time to take action on those grand visions or ideas that you dreamed up with Jupiter and Pisces over the past several months. This is like optimism with no bounds. That warrior spirit I was talking about gives us that stamina, that grit to push ahead. So we have the optimism to launch into something new and the confidence to do so as well with Jupiter in Aries. This is unbridled passion as well, raw potential. There's just a lot of raw energy to work with here in general. Now, as I mentioned, too much passion, too much aggression, not always the best use of this energy. So, we do want to slow down a little bit or think things through before we just jump right in, especially over the next month because Mercury stationed retrograde overnight. So we do want to slow down just a little bit. Know that the energy is there, the stamina is there. You don't have to dive headfirst into it. You can take a beat and pause before you dive in. This is the perfect time, though, over the next year to start something new. If you've been thinking about starting a new business, this year is your year. If you've been thinking about starting a new creative project, this is a great time to do it over the next few months. And like I said, you don't have to use this energy right away. It's going to be with us for some time. So, Mercury retrograde, not necessarily the best idea to start new things during this time unless they're really thought out and you're really meticulous about all the details of everything and just really careful, honestly. But just know that Jupiter is going to be in Aries for a while. This is a great time to try new things as well. This transit gives us a thirst for like rapid expansion and adventure. Jupiter is a very adventurous energy and likes to expand things. So we have this need to feel free, like I said, unbridled. And our confidence will allow us also to step into leadership positions with ease, while still remaining friendly, generous, and good at working with others because Jupiter is very generous and friendly. So this is a really good time if maybe you're not wanting to start your own project, but you're wanting to step into a leadership role or take on a new responsibility, something like that. The last time Jupiter was in the sign of Aries was in 2010 to 2011. So this is a really cool time to think back to your life. What was going on in 2011 for you? Maybe something new you started. That's how long a Jupiter cycle is. It's kind of crazy to think back to 2011 as being the last time Jupiter was in Aries. Like, what were we doing in 2011? It seems like so long ago, but it's the last time Jupiter was here. And I'm curious, if you're joining me live, if you think back to 2010, 2011, what was going on in your life? I can tell you, I was moving into a next phase of my life, going off to college. I was really expanding in so many ways, starting a whole new chapter of my life. So looking at Jupiter and Aries now, I'm like, ooh, what's this next chapter going to bring? There's a lot of excitement around it. Something really interesting is looking back at what else was going on in other Jupiter and Aries transits. And a couple different astrologers have shared this. So you might have seen this yesterday, I believe. A couple days ago, Aliza Kelly tweeted, Nike, the sneaker company with the iconic slogan, "Just Do It," was founded during Jupiter and Aries. And that is totally the mantra of Jupiter and Aries. Just do it. We have the optimism. We have the energy to just go for it, right? Literally, let's go. It's time. It's go time. It's that go energy of Jupiter in Aries. Now, that's a positive, I would say, overall, that happened during Jupiter and Aries, right? This mega company was formed with this mantra or slogan backing it of just do it. Now, some interesting other world events that happened during periods where Jupiter was in Aries. My girls, the Astro Twins, tweeted or shared about this morning. The Arab Spring was happening with Jupiter in Aries. Japan's tsunamis and the Fukushima plant explosions, that was happening in late 2010, early 2011. I can't remember the exact date. That happened with Jupiter and Aries. But here is kind of the big headline, I would say, of major world events that happened with Jupiter and Aries. The U.S. entered World War I and World War II with Jupiter and Aries. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to enter another world war with Jupiter and Aries, but Aries is the sign of aggression and war, and Jupiter is going to expand that energy. So we could see the situation in Ukraine develop, maybe get a little bit more hostile, more aggressive, or, the U.S. entering World War I and World War II did eventually, I think, kind of bring some closure. So maybe it's that we get more involved and create peace. I don't know. I'm not a political expert here, but I just think it's really interesting that this period brought us entering World War I and World War II. Of course, these wars were going on before the U.S. entered them as well, so take that as you will. Also, the first global meditation happened with Jupiter and Aries. So there are a lot of positives of this transit too, and the discovery of penicillin. Like I said, we are starting new things. We're discovering new things. Jupiter also rules higher understanding, higher learning. So we have more drive and stamina to learn new things, to expand our own consciousness with Jupiter in Aries. Really interesting, though, when you look back on what's gone on during this transit throughout history. Let's see, what do you guys say? Yes, let's go. Definitely the energy. Oh, I love this. 2010, I was getting sober after dropping out of college for a year, partying, doing drugs, started cleaning my life up. Hardest thing I've ever done, but also the best. I love for you, Jackie, that you're getting ready to start a new chapter and Jupiter is moving into Aries. I think that is so perfect. And you said 2010, 2011 changed the entire trajectory of how I would become who I am today. Blown away. Yes, and I feel that way too. Going off to college, it was like a total whirlwind. My whole world changed with Jupiter and Aries. So I love that you see that as well. I am not suggesting we nuke Moscow. Definitely not suggesting that. But I would not be surprised, knowing what I know now, if the U.S. did get a little bit more involved, or there was maybe a little bit more of a power play between the U.S., Russia, maybe China being involved. I wouldn't be surprised. Do I want that to happen? No. I'm not manifesting that. But, Aries can be a little bit aggressive. Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so that's the main transit that we are experiencing today. And yes, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us, Jackie. And it's, again, not happening until 4 this afternoon. And like, it's not like, although it is Aries energy, it could feel like a shift in energy because it's very like, okay, let's go. But this is an energy we're working with. This is a transit we're working with over the next year. There's no rush to jump into anything. Jupiter will be making its way through Aries until May 16th of 2023. So we have time to start new things. We have time to get a little bit clearer on where we want to direct our energy, be a little bit more intentional about where we're going, what we're doing. There's no need to rush into anything right away. Also happening today, just go through the energy of the moon. The moon is still in Virgo, and this gives us a little boost of productivity. So you might be feeling like, yes, I'm ready to check things off my to-do list. I want to help other people. We're more detail-oriented when the moon is in the sign of Virgo, helping us check off all those items on our to-do list, double checking things as Mercury is now retrograde. The Virgo moon can help us really hone in on those details and catch any errors because, you know, Virgos don't like their typos. But I will say, let's watch out for being too critical of people around us with the moon in Virgo. We can be so fixated on doing things the right way or all the little details that we forget to kind of zoom out and look at the big picture and how what we're saying, our words are landing. Sometimes the Virgo moon can make us a little bit more harsh. So be gentle with the people around you, especially with Mercury now retrograde. The Virgo moon is ruled by Mercury. So our words could land differently than we intend them to. And that's just something to keep in mind. All right. Also, this morning, the moon made an uncomfortable connection to Venus, a quincunx or an inconjunct angle. So today, it might not feel like easy to align with affection or loving energy. The moon and Venus are operating on different playing fields right now. Venus is in Aries, so it is that passionate energy and almost impulsive with our affection. The Virgo moon is a little bit more careful and analytical and wants things just so. You can see how these energies don't quite work with each other, and that's why it can make it feel like we need to have a plan of how we're going to express our love, where Venus and Aries is like, no, just do it, you know, just be loving. So this can also make us a little more critical under the Virgo moon and just try to be nice, even if people are annoying you. Like, this could cause annoyance with your loved ones. You know, not the most loving energy today, but we definitely have a lot of raw energy to work with. We could be very productive and find ourselves being very busy today. The moon also makes that same awkward angle to Chiron tonight at 7 p.m., which can show us maybe some adjustments we need to tweak on our healing journey. This again can bring annoyances or not major triggers, but like slight little triggers that make us realize, oh, there's still something there that maybe needs to be healed or that we're not paying attention to. That could come up for you today. It's not going to be a full blow up or anything like that. Most likely just could give us some awareness of what maybe our inner child is needing, or, you know, just be patient with yourself and other people today. The Virgo moon can tend to make us like in go, 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 just got it on to the next thing mode, and slowing down, being patient with the people around you, understanding that people can't read your mind and know exactly what you want can be really helpful under a Virgo moon. But the main connection we feel with the moon today is a trine between that Virgo moon and Uranus in Taurus. That's at 15 degrees in Virgo and Taurus. So pay attention to what's going on in those areas of your chart. You might feel that a little bit more tonight by 9 p.m. Pacific time. This can give us a little bit of a thrill or excitement, and I love that this is happening just after Jupiter moves into Aries. You could feel a little zing of energy tonight, even some surprises or disruptions. There could be a little bit of a shakeup on this Tuesday night. You could have a surprise encounter. You could just feel general excitement or anticipation, like something is happening, you know, and it is astrologically, but in your own personal life, this can make you feel a little bit more easily amused or even more like impulsive, like you just are seeking a thrill and you're ready for some excitement in your life. So, you know, just make sure if you are feeling agitated or irritated that you don't create that excitement by triggering other people or poking other people. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. We've talked about this before. So just, the moon forming a trine to Uranus makes disruptions happen very easily, and they can be positive disruptions like fun surprises, or they can be outbursts coming through really easily if we're not intentional and aware of our own energy and how we're interacting with other people. So remember, I think I've already said this, but it's worth noting again. Communication, even our intentions, can land differently than we expect during Mercury retrograde. So just be willing to clarify with people oh, actually, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. Here, I apologize. It came across that way. You might find yourself saying things like that during Mercury retrograde, and that's okay. It's okay to clarify, and might have to work a little bit harder to find common ground with other people and make sure that you are fully being understood. Okay? All right, let's do a little overview, and then we will pull a card. And actually, as I'm doing the overview, I can't decide on 2 decks today, so feel free to vote. We're either going to pull from the Spirit Animal deck or the new deck I pulled from yesterday, Cosmic Dancer. So as I'm doing the overview, let me know in the comments which deck you think I should pull from, okay? All right. All righty. Jupiter in Aries, the planet of abundance, of optimism, of excess, moves into the first sign of the zodiac, starting a fresh cycle for Jupiter's lap around the sun. This can make it feel like we are ready to go, full speed ahead. We can start new projects with optimism and confidence under this transit. Over the next year, while Jupiter makes its way through Aries, new projects, new chapters of our life can bring us abundance and create expansion mentally, physically, in all aspects of our being. This is a really positive transit, brings a lot of excitement, a lot of fresh energy with it, and gives us an opportunity, so many opportunities to grow in so many ways. The one caveat here is that Jupiter in Aries can make us a little overly impulsive or overly spontaneous. So we want to make sure we're not being too aggressive or jumping into things head first without thinking them through, especially because Mercury just stationed retrograde overnight. So enjoy the fresh energy, enjoy the optimism, and maybe the surge of energy you feel when Jupiter moves into Aries, but slow your roll just a little bit and double check things before you start a new project. The moon is hanging out in Virgo today, making some uncomfortable connections throughout the morning, so it could be a little easier to be critical or even annoyed of other people around you. By tonight, the moon harmonizes with Uranus, creating an energy of excitement. You might find yourself seeking a thrill or coming into a surprise encounter. This can bring an energy of anticipation and overall just make us feel a little bit more eccentric or disruptive in a positive way. Like we just want to create our own excitement if we aren't running into excitement on our own. All right. Ooh, I have Jupiter and Aries in my natal 6th house, 25th degree. I don't know what to expect, but I have noticed themes from my Sag stellium in the 2nd house activating. We love a Sag stellium in the 2nd house, by the way. Love that for you. Wish you luck, Scorpio rising. So I would say to you, Jupiter in the 6th house, you could probably have a new work opportunity, or you might find yourself coming into a new routine over the next year of some sort, maybe a new health routine or health plan with Jupiter in Aries. And this is really good for your overall health and well-being, I think. Now, I was just looking because my partner also has Jupiter in Aries, and your Jupiter return won't be until 2023, either, I believe, 2023. So probably, I would guess like March or April of 2023 is when you will experience your full Jupiter return. So it could feel like you're kind of putting the pieces together and starting things, and then maybe having to backtrack a little bit when Jupiter goes retrograde. But expect by this time next year to have a full new lease or routine around your health, your wellness, your work, all of your daily tasks. This is really going to bring a lot of abundance to that area of your life. And yeah, the Sag stellium in the second house, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius too. So this could mean good things for you when it comes to income and money, especially with all that sixth house activation with your work life. It could kind of infuse itself into what's going on with Sagittarius in your second house. Love that for you. And that's a great note. It's a good time to look at, where's Jupiter in your chart? What aspect is your natal Jupiter making to Jupiter in Aries? For example, my Jupiter is in Libra, so I know that my Jupiter is going to be opposing the current Jupiter over the next year. Of course, that means different things for different people, especially when it comes to which house it's in. So we can go deep into this when we start to look at our own chart, but it's a good point to take a look at where Aries is in your chart and where Jupiter is in your chart, and what the connection between natal Jupiter and current Jupiter will be over the next year. Hi, Jennifer. All right, so who's excited for Jupiter and Aries? And nobody said which deck they wanted, so I'm going to go with the spirit animal deck. We're going to go with that today and see what message needs to come through. This is your time, as always, to ask questions. Let me know what's going on with your Jupiter. Let me know how the energy is feeling for you now that Mercury is officially retrograde. And if you missed yesterday's show and you want to learn a little bit more about what this Mercury retrograde is bringing specifically for you and your sign, you can head to yesterday's episode on YouTube or on thespiritualjournalist.com and get a full breakdown about Mercury retrograde. We got a lot of transits going on to start this week, a lot of major energetic shifts. All right. What do we need to know with Jupiter moving into Aries? This is a transit a lot of people have been talking about too, really getting hyped up for and excited for. There's a lot of good buzz around this. Jupiter in Leo in my 11th house. Aries rules my 8th. Okay, Jupiter opposes my Saturn. Ooh, and I believe, let's see, yeah, so you're going through your Saturn return as well. With Jupiter opposing your Saturn, could really bring some expansive opportunities and lessons that create expansion or almost like mirror your own expansion. Interesting. And it's in your 11th house. Aries ruling the 8th house. So I'm the same as you, Jennifer. We're both Virgo risings, I believe. And this could bring some deep inner work for you, for both of us, really, during Jupiter and Aries. And in a positive way, though. Jupiter, remember, is the great benefic. It's really a positive influence wherever it's going through. So doing a little bit of soul searching could help you along your journey to expansion. And yeah, and could also help you along your way through your Saturn return. I am over it too. Trust me, I'm right there with you, girl. Smack dab in the middle of the Saturn return. And it feels like it comes in waves too, Some days I'm like, whoa, okay. Really feeling Saturn's influence, and some days I'm like, oh, this Saturn return thing isn't too bad, until the next lesson hits. All right. Let's see. What do we need to know about Jupiter in Aries? Nightingale spirit. Love is all around. Love that. Card number 41. Let's see what the message is for us. Nightingale spirit. In the darkness of night, Nightingale spirit sings her song of love and hope, a harbinger of dawn to remind you that the sun will rise again soon. You are so loved, and the illumination song of the Nightingale spirit calls you to a new level of self-awareness and connection with the light. Yes, there is shadow and darkness, but love and prosperity exist everywhere, even in the seeming emptiness of space, darkness, and a starless night. Hearken to the message, letting the music of the Nightingale's song remind you that love is all around. Feel it and trust in tomorrow's light, renewing your ability to recognize the spaces that appear empty are filled with love and abundance. Illumination will happen soon. Yes, Jennifer, I feel like this card was for us. because Jupiter's moving through our 8th house. There can be a lot of darkness right now, really for anyone going through their Saturn return too. Sometimes it can feel a little bit dark. And this card is a reminder that Jupiter in Aries is bringing the light. It is shining the light. It is going to bring so much loving energy, so much new energy, new opportunities into our awareness. So I think this is a really positive card and a really positive sign. And, I actually pulled it, I think originally upside down, but I want to look at this deck has a protection message too. And it says, the darker the skies, the more it seems the dawn will never appear. But Nightingale Spirit is here to remind you that the sun will shine again. So for anyone who feels like they're not sure what the future holds, like there's a lot of unexpected in your life, that maybe you are in the void, in the darkness. Remember, the darkness, we're all born out of darkness, right? We all are born out of a womb of darkness, and then we come into the light as we are coming into the world. So sometimes they say it's always darkest before the dawn. And if you're feeling confusion, any sort of loss, even grief, like you don't really know what to do, this card is here to remind you the light is coming. Jupiter in Aries is bringing the light, it's bringing the new energy, and it's bringing the energy of expansion for all of us. So yeah, my phone kept freezing and wouldn't load anything. Mercury retrograde, to be expected. Phone is working at the speed of a snail. Jupiter is in Cancer in your 11th house, and I chose animal cards. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you chose that, and I chose it. Jupiter in your 11th house is going to, I think, bring you a new level. So Jupiter is in your natal 11th house, which means that you are really good at attracting community and you have abundance in community. So true for you, Jackie. So Jupiter in Aries is actually going to square your natal Jupiter, and it should be in your, I believe, your 7th house, I want to say, of relationships. I have to look at a chart here. But just know that there's going to be a lot of activation for you. If Jupiter is squaring your Jupiter, it's really going to push you to expand. So get ready, get excited. This is going to be a really expansive time for you. And it sounds like it was the last time Jupiter was in Aries too. The sun will shine again. Absolutely, absolutely. I love this card. Nightingale Spirit, singing a song in the dark. And it could have even felt like Jupiter in Pisces was that darkness, maybe that void of like, okay, I'm envisioning the possibilities, but I'm still here. I'm still doing the work. Jupiter in Pisces really was focusing on expanding our consciousness and kind of in that restful period, allowing all the ideas to come through. And now it's time to put those things into action because the dawn is coming. The light is shining. We're ready to go. Jupiter is in your natal 3rd house in Capricorn. So similar to what I just said for Jackie, Jupiter in Aries will be in your, hold on, I have to think about this, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, I think also in your 7th house. Again, I have to look at your chart, but I can tell you that Jupiter is squaring your natal Jupiter because you have Jupiter in a cardinal sign. Jupiter is in a cardinal sign in Aries. So again, this could be like a forced expansion over the next year for you. Like the energy of impulse and go is going to be supercharged for you and Jackie with Jupiter squaring your natal Jupiter. It's going to feel like, okay, I have to expand. I'm ready to expand. Or even if you're not ready, life is going to expand for you. So a square can feel a little bit tense, like there's some resistance to expansion or even a surprise, like an impulse expansion, but Jupiter is always a good thing. So get ready. Next chapter is definitely coming for you, or it could even feel like a turning point for both you and Jackie in your expansion journey with this square playing out. Yes, this is the energy of Jupiter and Aries. Also, like moving your body, dancing, great way to welcome Jupiter and Aries. All the expansion. We love it. All right, everybody. I can feel the excitement. I can feel the energy of Jupiter and Aries. I hope you can too. I'm really excited to see what this new chapter brings for all of us. You know, we've been coming out of the past 2 years of Jupiter in Aquarius, really putting the focus on the collective in a lot of ways. Jupiter in Pisces, creating a lot of spiritual evolution in a lot of people. And it really feels like Jupiter in Aries is creating a fresh start, a new chapter for us collectively, and a new energy and opportunity to call in more abundance. Oh, yes. Yes. Let's see. Your boyfriend is a Pisces sun, Taurus rising, and Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so Jupiter in Gemini. This is going to be forming a sextile to your natal Jupiter. Jupiter in Aries will form a sextile to your Jupiter in Gemini. This is a really supportive energy for you for expansion. And Taurus rising. So that means Aries rules your 12th house, most likely. And this could be like a supportive energy for spiritual expansion for you. You could even be motivated to learn about new spiritual modalities or go a little deeper or broader, expand your spiritual awareness. This could also bring healing for you, but it's going to feel really supportive. In contrast to what I said to Jackie, where it's like it's forcing you to expand, which seems very accurate with what's going on in your life, Jackie. For you, it's like, okay, we're expanding, it's happening, and it just feels very supportive and like a little push, and you'll have to lean into it a little bit. Oh, and if you're a Pisces sun, your sun is probably in your 12th house too. So, or excuse me, that's not true. Your sun is in your 11th house. Anyway. This is what happens when I try to like visualize charts and talk at the same time. But this is really supportive energy for you. So get excited. Everybody should be a little bit excited about Jupiter in Aries. And I also love how your boyfriend has Jupiter in Gemini and how you are a Gemini. Like, I don't know if there's a conjunction there, but that's a really beautiful energy that your sun is probably very close to his Jupiter. He kind of expands your presence in a lot of ways. Love that. Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I think it's a good point to wrap up today. I hope this video was helpful for you to get excited for this new chapter we're all starting. If you found it helpful, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize this channel, keep these videos coming to you for free every single day. Absolutely, Jackie, anytime. And tomorrow, we're talking about the moon. The next couple of days, we're just focusing on the moon. We had a lot of commotion to start the week. Then we get a little bit of a lull before Friday when we're going to talk about the total lunar eclipse and all of the transits. When I say all of the transits, I mean there are like 4 different transits playing out at the same time as the lunar eclipse this Sunday. So we'll talk all about that on Friday. Get excited, get ready, and let's go with Jupiter in Aries. I will see you right back here tomorrow morning, but until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.